listen. All right, everyone. So, Man United 3, Brookside 2, Liverpool 2. We are here with the main men themselves, Eddie and Jam. Eddie, I'm going to start with you, mate. 3-2. Give us what your thoughts on today's game.
Like normally when we play against a big team or a big club, and when they equalise you or take the lead, you kind of feel the worst. But I don't know why, but I was always confident today. Always confident. Even when it got back to 2 each and they began to dominate, I thought to myself, they're not going to score. They just were not going to score. I always felt confident. I don't know why, but I mean, a good performance, very solid performance. I know in the first half there was times when their high press was causing us issues, but we seemed to maneuver out of that, and good result.
Jam?
Roll on West Ham.
I echo Eddie's comments. Even when they took the lead, normally in the past you'd see me on WhatsApp saying, bloody hell, for fuck's sake. But I just knew our chance would come, and we did lose the ball quite a lot in the middle of the park. And I thought, bloody hell, if they get the second, it could be night-night. But we persevered and we kept on going, kept the tempo up. I think the end part of the first half, it was all ours. Could have got a second. And second half, it was Liverpool till probably the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then we won. What can I say? Kicked them while they were down, like I said. Roll on.
Eddie, I want to know your man of the match, and was there a part of the game or an area of concern for you out of this game? Like, try to keep it positive, but your man of the match, and was there any part or anything within the game that we'd done today that you were slightly concerned about that we could have done better?
Yeah, I suppose the man of the match, the obvious choice would be Rashford. But I just want to kind of give a special mention to Luke Shaw, who has really come on, and each time he plays, I like the way he plays. I really do like the way he plays at the moment. He's playing very, very well. I think my man of the match is probably Greenwood.
Okay.
Over Rashford, and the reason for that is not necessarily for his influence on the match overall per se, but his form coming into that match, and he really stepped up.
Man United, Jam.
Yes, Jam, we know you're a mug. It was great to see it, because before the match I was concerned about Greenwood playing. I thought he won't do much going forward because of his confidence, and he won't track back. But you know what? He proved me wrong, and I'm so happy that he's proved me wrong. And I've always said two things: if they're one of our own, we always give them extra time. And I love to criticize someone and be proved absolutely wrong.
Yeah, he scored and he assisted, and like even in the first 10 minutes, he had a few moments where it could have been where some people could have assumed he was being a bit selfish, but he looked confident, and he's a young lad. And I know people have said, oh, he could be the next Ravel Morrison, but for me, he's already done too much, and he's got so much potential. For me, he's going to be, hopefully, if he stays on track under Ole, a great player for us in years to come.
Yeah. Well, I didn't notice that he did pass the ball a lot more today, so I don't know if he's took my advice on board, but he just seemed to be passing a lot more than normal. So hopefully, the penny may have dropped.
Fingers crossed. And Jam, same question to you. In fact, Eddie, was there an area of concern for today? So you could make your man of the match. Was there anything that concerned you within the game?
Well, I mean, the fact that you conceded 2 goals, will always be a concern. The first one, it goes back to having those 2 holding midfielders again, doesn't it? Do we need to have those 2 holding midfielders all the time? Because I mean, Van der Beek looked absolutely lost. It was like we were playing with a man down for a large period of time.
Yeah.
I just felt that, I think once Fred came on, we looked a bit more solid, even though Buddy Firmino pulled him off the ball, but we won't talk about that. I suppose that's probably the concern. And the other thing was Henderson didn't really fill me with confidence. I just think we were lucky that they didn't do much else than actually those 2 goals.
I think Henderson, the first one was a great finish. The second one was Cavani and Maguire. At Jam, how many times have we seen Man United where they play the 2 centre-backs in the 6-yard box and they try to pass it out, and against a team like Liverpool, you're going to get punished. So for me, Henderson's not really to blame, and he saved the Salah 3rd goal. So for me, it was great. It was poor decision-making on the way we were playing the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hold him responsible for the first goal. I don't think. I mean, he did everything. He came out, made himself big, and the ball chipped over. There's nothing you could do about that. The second one, he just seemed to move his feet a bit slow. I don't think that's going past De Gea if De Gea's in goals.
But at the same time, on the flip side, we should have been. We shouldn't have played that ball out the box. Cavani lost the ball too. So I don't think Henderson's the man to blame. I think if you're going to look for anyone to blame, in my opinion, you'd look at Maguire, you'd look at Cavani.
I'm not blaming him for the goal, but I still think he should have saved it.
Fair enough. Jam, what about you, mate? Man of the match areas.
Man of the match was I was going to say Henderson, but I have to change that now. I think. Yeah, I reckon tossed up between Pogba and Shaw.
Okay.
I can't make my mind up. I think Pogba did the nasty stuff today, the tackling, the tracking back, proper like grit. Just got stuck in really, you know, what he's not known for. Shaw just continuing on from the last game.
And that's the point. A lot of the things that Pogba's been criticised for are the things that he was amazing with today against Liverpool. The tracking back, the marking, the defending. So he's kind of showed everyone that he's arguably, and I know I've not always been his biggest fan recently, but he is probably the most complete player when he wants to be. And that's the thing with Pogba, when he wants to be. Do you know what I mean? So were any areas of concern for you, Jam?
Same as Eddie, it's that holding midfielder. We lose the ball, we can't, you know, keep our foot on it. It's just inviting pressure. Is it best to go with two all the time now? Because we're seeing with one, it doesn't really work.
I know. So let's talk about Donny for a second. Obviously, Donny's not played a lot of football. I think they said before the game he started 2 Premier League games. Now, this is a player who was a top player for Ajax, proved himself in the biggest games. Obviously, in his mind, he knows that he's not first choice and his confidence is going to be low. So where does Donny go from here? Ultimately, he got subbed off for the man who's ahead of him, Bruno, and Bruno scores the winner. So the games aren't really going to be there for Donny, maybe Europa League, but where does Donny go from here? What does Man United go from here? Like, what's your thoughts on Donny and what do we do going forward? And we'll start with you, Eddie.
I would keep him. You know, I'm hearing rumours that, you know, people may want to loan him just because the Euros coming up and so forth. I would keep him. I think he would start, depending on how the league goes, I think he will play in a lot of our Europa League games and a lot of our FA Cup games.
Mm-hmm.
The also other thing is, I mean, I think we've been very fortunate with injuries as well. If we were to get a couple of injuries in the middle of the park, we're going to need him. And I think we should keep him. And I think it was good that he did play today. And, you know, if we are 2-3 goals ahead in games, get him one game, get his fitness built up, get his confidence built up.
What do you say to Donny though, Eddie? So right now, Donny van der Beek, let's just say for a hypothetical point of view, Donny's saying, look, I want out of United. The Euros are coming up in 5-6 months. I'm not playing. I'm not first choice. What do you say to Donny to reassure him that he has still got a part in Man United?
I'd say to him, when you get your chances in those Europa League games, in those FA Cup games, give me a headache. Give me a headache, and then you'll play in those league games as well. But if you're not going to be producing, then what do you want me to do? Drop you for a player that is producing.
So that leads me to a question, Eddie. When we signed Donny, what was he promised, or what? Who signed Donny? Because for me, Ole never signed him, and I could be wrong. But for me, when we signed Donny van der Beek, what impressions was he under that when we were signing him that he was going to play? Because we had the conversation at the start of the season: was it going to be Pogba, Fernandes, and Donny? He's already had a look in. What do you think he was promised, or do you think he was told he was going to be a squad player, or what?
I think he probably knew he was going to be a squad player realistically when he was coming in. If you look at the players who were there at that time when he signed, I'm sure he never thought that he'd get ahead of Fernandes, not with the numbers of Fernandes was producing. I suppose what the Mars said to him is, look, you know, we've got a European challenge this year as well. We really need more quality, more technical players, and that's probably what convinced him to come.
Fair point. And I think he has to have a look at himself as well. Even if he's not playing consistently, he's got to put the performances in today. And I think he looked neat at times, but there was one point where he was put through on the ball and he runs back. He's like he never wanted to take on the defenders. It's almost like he lacks so much confidence at the moment. He doesn't even believe in doing the positive things. So, and yeah, Jam, you said we pretty much played with 10 men today. There were points where it just felt like Donny was invisible in that midfield. So, what would you say to Donny if you was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? What would you do to build his confidence up?
I say the games that you do get to play and grab it with two hands. Show me what you can do. Put yourself in the mixer. But I think whether we want to keep him or not, I think ultimately, my gut tells me after the Euros, maybe before the Euros, I think he will want to go. I don't think he's. I think he'll agently come out again, and I think he'll be shipped on.
Fair point. So obviously won the game 3-2, West Ham next round, and then we've got Sheffield United at home in the week. Rashford looks like he could have taken a slight knock to the knee. But looking ahead to Sheffield United quickly, is that an easy game? Is that set in stone? What Jam, will start with you, like in terms of team predictions? What do you want to see from United?
Same old patience. I think it'll be a similar game to Burnley. I think Sheffield United probably play a better style of football, a bit more attacking.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll suit us. I think just stay patient, and when you get your chances, be clinical. I'm confident. At the moment, this team's got something about it. Even going a goal down, there's something about it that they can just rescue the situation. It's just, I'm always confident.
Okay. And what about you, Eddie?
Similar to Jam, I don't think it'll be an easy game. There's no such thing as an easy game. I thought Fulham would have been easier for us last week, and that clearly wasn't. In terms of the team selection, I think it'll be very similar, and I think he'll drop Van der Beek for Fernandes, maybe Lindelof for Boy, and De Gea coming back in for Henderson.
Yeah.
Probably Martial for Greenwood. Probably.
Maybe Martial for Rashford if he's injured. You never know.
Yeah, I was going to say Rashford looks like he's picked up a bit of a knock. So
fair point. So looking ahead, yesterday we spoke about the season we were going to speak about 98, 99. Okay, so let's start with you, Jam, right? 98, 99 was probably the first crazy, most successful. It was the year when we actually lifted up the European Cup after so many close years of getting there the year before and against Dortmund and Monaco in previous semis and quarters. What does 99 mean for you? 98, 99 mean for you? Not just the final, but the whole season.
Everything that represents United: drama, excitement, fast-flowing football, great players on show, and just that's going to live in the memory for forever. Some of the moments, the Andy Cole chip over walkout to make it 2-1 against Spurs, the Giggs moment, the Ole moment, it's incredible. Speechless.
And what about you, Eddie?
Very similar to Jam. There were loads of great moments. I'm thinking in the Champions League, the Joachim Cole combination in the group stage, David Beckham free kick, and that's just in the knockout. And then you got to the knockout stages. We beat Inter, obviously 2-0 at home. Then we drew away. Paul Scholes scored. We were losing 1-0, and then Paul Scholes scored. Made us at ease. The semi-final, Giggs scoring in the last minute, and then obviously the spirit of Turin. Roy Keane, my favorite player, greatest ever match in my opinion, when he single-handedly carried that team. You had 8 years earlier people like Gaza crying when they were going to miss the final, not Roy Keane. Roy Keane was thinking of the bigger picture, was driving that team forward, and the fans, the Juventus fans, clapped him off the pitch, which showed what a great player he was. Then you've got the FA Cup, and I think they spoke about it earlier on today when Ollie scored to win 2-1 against Liverpool, which is obviously always great. And the semi-final goal for Giggsy. The final we absolutely dominated. It was a poor Newcastle team, to be fair. I know they had Shearer, but they were never at the races. And then of course the Champions League final itself, which was well, I don't know what to say, but yeah.
You know what? Looking back at that Champions League final, right? I think that we had luck on our side because they battered us.
Definitely.
That could have been 3 or 4-0 to Bayern Munich in that game.
Easily.
That Castellanca overhead against the bar.
I think they was it Scholl or Basler or one of them. I swear they hit the bar or crossbar a couple of times. Like
Scholl, I think maybe Scholl.
Yeah, Shaw hit the post and Yanka hit the bar, and yeah, but name on the trophy.
Name of the
Name
trophy.
on the trophy. Who do you think in that season? Obviously, that season, so we signed Jasper Blankvist, we signed York, we signed Jaap Stam. Who for you was our player of the season, and which sign out of the three, maybe not so much Blankvist, let's look more York and Stam, who was our most important signing, Eddie?
Ooh. Tough question. I'm going to say Stam.
Okay.
The reason for that being, I think we could have always scored, 3-4 goals, but I think without Stam, we probably wouldn't be. I don't think we'd have won it without Stam, but I think we would have won it without York. It's probably the easiest way to put it.
Okay. And what about you, Jam?
Same. I think Stam made a huge difference. But that strongness, that toughness to the defense, the calmness, good with the ball at his feet, good one-on-one, and just took the defense on another level.
So here's a question to both of you, right? We've had some great centre-backs over the years. Stam and Vidic, two great centre-backs. I'm now going to ask you, if you've got Rio Ferdinand at centre-back and you had the choice to pick, we already know that Vidic was great with Ferdinand. Yeah. But if you had a peak Vidic and a peak Stam, who are you picking to be their partner? So Jam, we'll start with you.
Stam.
Stam straight away. Okay, so why Stam?
It's an easy question.
All right, so for them Serbians out there, right? Why Stam over Vidic?
Vidic was more of a bruiser. He loved to get stuck in. But Stam was clever. His positional play. He had pace, which Vidic lacked a bit. I think he was faster than Vidic, stronger than Vidic. Yeah, for those reasons, really.
Okay, and what about you, Eddie?
Stam was on.
Easy enough.
Easy enough.
Easy enough.
It was just top draw was Jaap Stam.
World class.
World class.
I'd probably put Palista in front of Palista in front of Vidic. Sorry to upset my Serbian fans, but if any Serbs are watching, Torres did rip Vidic.
Nah, not for me. Not for me, mate. Not for me.
I'm joking.
So let's just start talking about centre backs as well. So I was thinking about this tonight, and you're probably going to think I'm a bit crazy. Harry Maguire. He reminds me of three players in one. Laurent Blanc, because he's probably about as fast as him. Rio Ferdinand, because he's actually pretty good in bringing a ball out, and he's got a decent pass on him. But then he's got that Bruce Pallister, like old school captain leader mentality. So he's kind of like them three wrapped in one. But what are you guys making? Obviously, Harry Maguire, he was all criticising him earlier in the season. Obviously, he come in that big price tag, and he does lack pace. But how do you think he's come back since all the criticism and what you're making of his performances recently? Eddie, we'll start with you, mate.
I don't think there's any doubt that our defense does look better with him in the team. But he's not world class.
Okay.
And he's one of the reasons why I think we have to play those two defensive midfielders, because like you said, he hasn't got the pace. So it's not like you come forward and engage someone and then run off with them, because if he engages someone, they go past him. That's it. It's game over. They're passing. He's not going to catch him up. He hasn't got that recovery pace. Our team is better with him in it, but he is not world class.
Okay. And what about you, Jam?
Yeah, spot on from Eddie. He's not world class. I think he's put the Greece incident behind him, and obviously our run the last 12 games has looked solid. He's had to adapt with the Bailly and Lindelof, but he's looked good. Obviously not the vocalist, but he does the job.
Are you
so
both
far, so good.
Are you both happy with him being our captain?
Who else do we have?
I think if we had, I personally think the way Bruno is, if he was captain, I think he'll I don't know, the way he's now without the armband is really like aggressive, and like I think with the captain, I think he could fall out of the dressing room. To be honest, I think he'll take it like too seriously.
I think Bruno would end up getting sent off more if he
Yeah,
was the captain.
that's what I mean.
He'd feel he has the need to go defend his players.
Yeah,
And I spoke slightly before about he's a
Dissent.
He's been put a couple of times, and I have no problem with that to a certain extent. To show aggression and passion, desire, and so forth. But I just think if you made him captain, you might be shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, if he was a regular, I would like someone like Scott McTominay.
McTominay, future captain
should come from within the club.
Eddie, it's got to be mentioned. A week ago, you said Bruno doesn't do it against the big clubs. Scored tonight against Liverpool.
Okay, so if you look at what I said Bruno should be dropped against Liverpool. Bruno was dropped today, and did we win?
But you also questioned his record against the big clubs as well, and he
he scored a free kick, fantastic. But it was just one free kick. You can't say he does it against the big clubs. Let him do it 3, 4, 5 times against the big clubs. Then you say, yeah, you know what? He does do it against the big clubs.
He for me, right? He's a world-class player who, even if he's having a poor game, he come on today and he changed the game. He scored the winner.
He scored a free kick. The way you're saying it, as if we come in, change our whole style of play. We start playing well. We're under pressure and we start playing well. No, we got a free kick and he scored from the free kick from the edge of the box. But going back to the free kick, right? Fabinho should have been sent off. That's a second yellow card.
He was.
Going back to that free kick, for someone who's been questioning Fred's passing, that was a forward pass by Fred.
I'm not questioning his forward passing. I just don't think his passing is that good.
Okay.
And I'm sure if you look at the record across the whole season of his forward passing the last third, I don't think his record will be very good.
Do you think Fred's like looking at the Liverpool game today though? Can you see why Fred does play for Man United in that midfield?
Oh yeah, and I know other people have criticised the fact that Fred's in our squad, but we don't have any other player like him. We need that energy.
Well, sorry, Jan, what was you going to say?
Yeah, definitely. If you take Fred out, who's going to run around? Who's going to close players down? He's just got some unbelievable set of lungs on him. The black Park Ji-sung probably has more energy than him, to be fair.
He's a monster, isn't he? All right, so controversial question for the pair of you now. Okay, so I want you to, and I know Serb would love this because obviously he always looks back into the.
Is he watching, by the way? Is Serb watching? Can I give him a wave? All right, Serb.
Give him a wave. Give him a wave,
Cheers,
mate. So Serb, we're going to try to get you on next week, but right, think back to the Fergie era, the whole period, the great teams that we had. Do you think? I'm going to start with you, Jam. Sir Alex Ferguson underachieved in terms of European Cups?
Yes.
Where do you think we fell short? So under Fergie, we got to, what was it, four or five finals? Was it four?
Four
finals. 1-2 lost to
2-1, 2 Barca as 4.
Yes, we lost the 2 Barca finals, won the two European Cups. There were so many other opportunities in between.
So many semi-finals,
yeah, Dortmund, there was Porto. But if you was to have a conversation with Fergie and say, look, we could have done something here, or, you was a bit stubborn there, or maybe you could have made a signing here, like, where do you think we fell short in Europe with Fergie? So, Jam, start with you.
I reckon it's probably the tactics more than anything.
Okay.
I think we had the players, there's no doubt. Like we were discussing yesterday about the Barca game, who should have started, who shouldn't have. I think maybe he probably knows inside he made some mistakes in terms of selection. He should have gone with this player instead of this one. Would have made a difference. But against quality teams, if you go behind, you're chasing the game. It's hard to come back.
So let's look at some of the close misses. So Leverkusen, you could look back to. Potentially, there's no guarantees that we could have beat Real Madrid in the final, but Leverkusen in the semis, I think, was it 2-2 at home, then 1-1 away. Keane scored the away goal. That they were a team that we were expected to beat. Obviously, they had quality players back then as well. But what was it? What was it in some of those games where we just fell short or we lacked? Was it tactics? Was it just the players? Was it that we underestimate the other players? They had quality players like Porto, for example, who went on to play for bigger clubs. Like, what was it for you where we fell short?
Was that to me?
Yeah. We'll start with you, Joe.
I don't reckon it was a case of underestimating. I don't think Fergie lets his players go out. Say, you know, they're nothing. The Spurs are Spurs, but other European teams on the continent play good football. So I think probably a case of maybe the players not delivering, maybe not following the manager's instruction. Probably mix of both, team selection as well, yeah. But we had the players, there's no doubt. With the squad we had, we should have won more trophies or got to more finals.
Okay, what about you, Eddie?
I don't think he did underachieve.
Okay.
And I suppose the main reason for that is, I think what you can remember, in the late 80s, early 90s, the English clubs were banned from European football. So straight away, you're not attracting the best players. It takes time to rebuild that kind of attraction to European players.
Mm-hmm.
So it did take time. And I think the other thing, obviously, you look at Liverpool, who've got 6 trophies, and, you know, Real Madrid have got, you know, God knows how many, 11, 12 or whatever they've got. A lot of those trophies were won at a time when there was only the champions who were actually entering the European Cup.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you've got more quality teams. I think in them days, it was probably harder to win the UEFA Cup than the Champions League, because you had a team that used to finish 2nd, 3rd, and 4th going into the UEFA Cup along with the FA Cup winners, or whatever it was at that time.
Cup winners.
So the FA Cup winners used to be the
yeah.
cup. Used to be the Cup Winners' Cup. So if you think about it now, right? Imagine if you had the European Cup with only the champions and not anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be so much easier to win.
That's a fair point.
But in '99, that was, I think, the 2nd season where you could have, I think it was top 2 or top 3 from each league. So it was becoming more and more difficult at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be at least top 2, because we had Juventus and Inter in the quarters and semis. So, so it was definitely top 2 or 3. I can't remember which one, to be honest with you. And also, don't forget, when we went to the 99 season, we weren't champions. We lost in '98, so it was definitely at least top 2.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the Leverkusen one that you kind of spoke about earlier on, that first leg, we were missing Roy Keane. Roy Keane had a thigh strain, and he came on for like last 15 minutes of the match, and the difference in quality of our performance in that match was huge. And I just think a fit Roy Keane that season, we would have beat Leverkusen at home very comfortably.
Well, do you remember that season as well, or in and around that time, Nicky Butt was playing his best football? Because I think we smashed Deportivo in the quarterfinals. I think we lost to them earlier on or the year before in the groups, but we smashed Deportivo, and Nicky Butt was probably the best player in the World Cup for England in 2002, or one of the best players. So you think Keane would have made that much of a difference?
Well, if you go back and look at that match, I'm talking that specific match because I remember it very well. Roy Keane made the difference when he came on, and we just looks like such a better team with him in that team.
I'm going to say some Leverkusen players for you now, just so you can remember some of the quality that he had. Remember Lucio?
Yeah.
Brazilian, yeah.
Placente?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zé Roberto?
Yeah.
Balak?
Yeah. He scored against us, yeah.
Bashturk, who was like a Turkish little magician. Yeah. Oliver Neuville.
Class.
Yeah. They had some ballers, to be fair. And I think their goalkeeper was Butt, Hansi Butt or something.
Yeah,
so they had some decent players as well. All right, so my last question for you boys. Okay, so we keep on hearing, and Eddie, I'm going to go back to Bruno Fernandes just to wrap things up. Okay, so we keep on hearing about Bruno Fernandes and like this kind of like reflection or this kind of impact that he's had, similar to what Cantona had. Now, obviously, Cantona achieved so much, so it's hard to compare because Bruno's still a year within United and Cantona, he had 6-7 years at United. But for you personally, what kind of impact do you think he's had? Do you see similar impacts to Cantona? What has he done for Man United, or what hasn't he done, or what is it for you? Why are people even having this conversation about Bruno and this impact? Like, what is it for you?
I don't think it's fair to compare them.
Okay.
Because when Cantona came in, we were the nearly men. We nearly won the league. We finished second. the season before. I think Leeds won the title, haven't won nothing since. We were the Neely men, and you just need someone just to kind of get us over the top. And Cantona was that man. But I think what a lot of people don't seem to think about is the legacy, the impact that Cantona left on the club. I've seen interviews with likes of David Beckham and so forth, where they say, well, we used to come into training when they were youngsters, and the first team used to train, go home, and Cantona used to stay there practicing. Mm-hmm. So they got into that mentality as well, and they stay back and practice. So obviously you've got like a talisman on the pitch who's also driving the behaviours off the pitch, which I think is the impact that Cantona had. Whereas Fernandes, yes, he's doing it on the pitch against the smaller teams, but does he have the impact off the pitch? I don't know.
They said, didn't they, today, apparently he was practicing his free kicks for 20 minutes, half an hour yesterday after training had finished. So you don't know if the next generation are seeing that, but you can only imagine. Yeah, you can only imagine.
And it's one of those things that probably won't come out, so to speak, until you get some kind of documentary or somebody else makes it and say to them, oh, you made it, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, I used to watch Bruno Fernandes. So then you can see the impact that he's had. But Cantona's impact was probably bigger. Well, it was definitely bigger, in my opinion.
Do you think he's had, obviously it's bigger because Cantona, he achieved so much and Bruno's still yet to achieve anything. But at the same time, we've not lost an away game since Bruno's come to the club. So what kind of, has Bruno had an impact? Like, do you see?
Yeah, he's definitely had an impact. He's definitely had an impact. There's no getting away from that. He's had a massive impact, especially in the smaller games when we were struggling, backs to the wall against like the likes of Burnley and stuff like that, when we really struggle against. And people like Bruno are vital for them kind of games. And he has made our team better, make no doubts about it. He has made our team better. But you can't compare it to Cantona. And I think it's a bit racist, they comparing it to Cantona. If that was an Englishman that we signed, would we compare it to Cantona? We wouldn't. We wouldn't come seriously though. We wouldn't be comparing him to Cantona if he was English. Yeah, it's the same like Frank Lampard, that might have, the less stick he gets. It's because he's English.
And he's an ex-player.
If
Frank Lampard, right? If Ollie had a record of Frank Lampard, do you think he'd be here? No, the mirror would have handed him out ages ago.
Yeah. Even Fergie said he gets less stick because he's played with some of us for England. So
yeah, 100%. There was definitely an Ole agenda early on this season. All right, Jam, same question to you, mate. So Bruno, Cantona, the correlation. Obviously they played different positions. One's a centre mid or a number 10. One was a striker. One's finished his career who won so much. One's still trying to achieve stuff. But can you see this kind of godlike Cantona comparison? Like why it's there, why it's not there? Is it too soon, or what's your view?
Can't compare them because obviously one's not one nothing. But in terms of stature, they're both winners. They both want the ball, not afraid to take the ball. They both drive the team on. I'm sure Bruno has an impact in the dressing room, off the field, 100%.
Do you think the comparisons, Jam, are there because for so long we've lacked us, probably since Ronaldo, we've lacked, obviously Ibrahimovic come in towards the end of his career, but probably since Ronaldo in their peak, we've lacked a superstar, like someone who can carry our team. Would you say that Bruno is the first player since Ronaldo to actually do that, or what's your thoughts?
Definitely, because when Ronaldo's playing, it was give the ball to Ronaldo, he'll do something, he'll go past the player, he'll score a free kick, he'll shoot. Even when Wayne Rooney was there, it's all about Ronaldo. Now it's all about Bruno. Give the ball to Bruno. Bruno's doing everything. He's doing assists, he's setting everybody up. I think the main focal point of United is Bruno at the moment. So yeah, after
Eddie,
Ronaldo, Bruno.
I can see Eddie shaking his head. He disagrees. Go on, Eddie.
Well, no, I think you may have missed a player out between the Ronaldo and Fernandes situation. I think Robbie Van Persie had that impact as well.
Okay, that's a fair point. All right, lads. So last and final question. So we've all had our opinions on Rashford. Jam, he's never going to be world class. Me, saying that I think he's going to be world class. Eddie probably didn't think he was going to be world class, but yeah, it was his favourite player. I don't know where he stood in that, but where obviously I agree with you two in terms of Rashford will be great one game, poor the next game, great the next game, inconsistent. But what does he have to do now to get to that elite level where you've got your Mbappes and your Salahs and your Manes who are banging 20, 30, 40 goals a season? Because he's got all the ability. Jam, what has he got to do for you now to go to that level?
Be more ruthless and take a chance. If it's one chance in one game, take that chance. Don't dwell on it. He's got to be ready, alert for any opening. Just take it. Mbappe, when he gets a chance, you feel he's going to put it away. Rashford, you think he'd probably take him 2-3 chances.
So what is it about him that gives you that doubt, or what is it about him that you think
he misses too many chances? He doesn't convert as many. In a game, he could probably score 1 goal and had about 4 or 5 chances, a couple of simple ones. And he'll always score goals, but it's his conversion. I don't think he's lethal yet. He's not clinical enough. And when he's bad, he's bad. When he has his dip in form, he's really like invisible. He has a stinker. But some players play bad and they still get away with it, probably doing an assist or work for the team. When he's bad, his head just drops and it's just.
What did you make of his performance today, though?
Oh, it was awesome. Every opportunity he got to run at Williams, he was just putting him on his bum. Just like direct attacking football, step overs, shimmies, one-touch trickery, quick feet, lethal.
Eddie, going to go to you now. World-class Marcus Rashford. What does he have to do to be in contention for Ballon d'Ors, to be the Ronaldo, or the, not saying he's a Ronaldo, but what does he have to do to get to a world-class level?
He needs to look and learn from Cavani. I know he scored, he assisted, right? But there was a couple of times where I thought his movement was absolutely atrocious. So when Greenwood broke down the wing, and you could see right on the other side, get your head down, sprint into the box. And this goes back to the other comment we made the other day about they all trying to be really clever. Like when the ball comes in the air, give the defender a little nudge to say, oh, look how smart I am and stuff like that. Head down, run into the box, get into the danger area where you're going to have an absolute tap-in. At the end, Greenwood had to take a shot, and you couldn't blame Greenwood. There's nothing else he could do. Whereas if Rashford had put his head down and actually sprinted, it had a tap in the far post. And also when I think Cavani got like a few ricochets, and Rashford's movement, he went right, which was fine because Cavani was slipping him in.
He went left.
And then he went left and made it really difficult for him, and he couldn't get the pass off. Mm-hmm. So I think he needs to think about his movement, because he did actually start off very well. He made a few runs, just like running into people all the time. And I think you've got someone like Cavani who's scoring 400 odd goals, one of the most lethal strikers around the last 10 years. And you all know I'm a big fan of the guy. Learn off him. Look at what he does. Just go to him and say, okay, what should I be doing in this position? You've got someone there who can teach you stuff.
Yeah.
That, with all due respect, Ollie probably can't. Utilize that.
Okay, boys. All right, perfect. So we're going to wrap it up here. Jam, Eddie, how do you two feel about a challenge, a quiz between a pair of you in the week? Jam versus Eddie. We'll do it over 4 weeks, the best of 4. We'll think of some forfeit for the person who loses. Jam, are you up for the challenge?
What's the quiz? Is it about PlayStation?
Man United, bro. Man United.
In general, any
mix? Yeah.
Bloody hell, Jaff, you know how good I was back in the day. I'm getting old now, man. White beard.